Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that is obsessed with fixing everything. Fixing governments, fixing schools, fixing the economy, fixing marriages. But there's one thing that is often overlooked, one place we rarely take the time to examine and correct. That place is ourselves. You see, the most powerful work you can do in this life is internal, not external. Before you can lead a home, you must first lead your mind. Before you can change your environment, you must first change your perspective. Before you can demand excellence from others, you must pursue it within. Fix yourself first, because if you're broken, everything you build will carry the cracks of your brokenness. You cannot lead, inspire, or correct others effectively until you have first worked on your own character, habits, and vision. This is not just a principle for leaders, it is a universal truth. Personal transformation always precedes public influence. Influence is not given because of titles, positions, or even talents. It is earned through integrity, consistency, and the evidence of a disciplined life. Many people want to change the world, but they have yet to conquer themselves. They desire respect, but they haven't cultivated responsibility. You cannot guide others out of places you are still trapped in yourself. Until you become whole, your leadership will leak. A person who has not addressed their inner struggles will eventually project them onto others. This is why leadership, mentorship, parenting, and even friendships must be grounded in self-awareness and self-mastery. It is easy to tell someone what they should be doing. It is much harder to become the example of what should be done. You teach most powerfully by who you are, not by what you say. If your words and your lifestyle are in conflict, people will follow your actions, not your instructions. That is why character is the foundation of lasting influence. Let me be clear. Fixing yourself does not mean reaching perfection. It means becoming accountable to the process of growth. It means identifying the parts of your life that are inconsistent with your values, your purpose, and your destiny, and doing something about it. It is entirely possible to be in a position of influence and still be emotionally immature, spiritually shallow, or mentally undisciplined. Titles do not transform people. Growth does, and growth starts with a personal decision to confront your own weaknesses before confronting others. Personal transformation begins with honesty. You must look in the mirror and assess the areas of your life that need alignment. If you cannot be honest with yourself, you will deceive others and eventually lose trust. People follow authenticity, not performance. If you want to lead others to freedom, peace, excellence, or truth, you must first make that journey yourself. You must become the product of what you proclaim. People can sense when you're faking it. They can feel when your words lack the weight of experience. Your influence increases when your life becomes a reflection of what you've overcome, not just what you've studied. This is why the hardest person you will ever lead is yourself. Leadership demands that you say no to yourself more than you say no to others. It requires discipline when no one is watching, consistency when no one is applauding, and integrity when no one is holding you accountable. The private victories of your life determine the power of your public presence. If you cannot master your emotions, your habits, your thoughts, then your influence will be temporary. The world may applaud you for a moment, but eventually your unresolved issues will surface. When you fail to transform yourself, your leadership becomes toxic. Instead of empowering people, you control them. Instead of inspiring, you manipulate, and that happens not because you're evil, but because you are leading from a place of deficiency rather than sufficiency. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot build others while you're secretly crumbling. And even if you manage to perform well for a time, your foundation will eventually be tested. And when that testing comes, it won't be your gift that sustains you. It will be your growth. Personal transformation is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong commitment to becoming the kind of person who is worth following, worth listening to, and worth imitating. It is a continual shedding of ego, ignorance, and unhealthy patterns. The more you grow, the more your influence expands, not because you're trying harder, but because you're becoming deeper. People are drawn to the fruit of your life, and fruit only grows from a healthy tree. If you want to lead many, first learn to lead one yourself. You attract what you are, not what you want. This is one of the most overlooked truths in personal development, leadership, and relationships. Many people spend their lives hoping, wishing, and praying for better outcomes, but they never pause to evaluate whether their internal condition matches the things they desire. Life doesn't respond to desire alone. It responds to alignment. You cannot attract peace while you entertain chaos in your mind. You cannot attract loyalty while living with dishonesty. You cannot attract greatness while thinking small and doubting your own value. The outcomes of your life are shaped not by what you say you want, but by who you are at your core. People often confuse desire with readiness. They want a healthy relationship, but they haven't healed from past wounds. They want financial success, but they lack discipline, stewardship, and vision. They want to be respected, but their lifestyle is inconsistent and unreliable. The gap between what you want and what you have is often a reflection of who you are and what you've become. Until your internal world rises to the level of your external desires, those desires will remain out of reach. Life doesn't give you what you ask for, it gives you what you're prepared for. This is why transformation begins on the inside. You must become what you are asking for. If you want love, become love. If you want respect, live with honor. If you want success, discipline your habits, expand your mindset, and develop your skills. The universe, people, and even opportunities respond to identity, not just intention. Intention is good, but identity carries the weight of manifestation. You attract not what you're pretending to be, but what you consistently are. Let's consider relationships. If you continuously find yourself surrounded by toxic people, the question is not only why are they here, but why do I keep choosing them? Or why do I tolerate them? Your relationships are a mirror. They reflect how you feel about yourself, what you believe you deserve, and the level of emotional health you've cultivated. If you want to attract whole, healthy people, you must become whole and healthy yourself. Brokenness attracts brokenness. Healing attracts healing. We don't attract who we wish to be. We attract who we are right now. This also applies to leadership and influence. You cannot attract committed followers if you are inconsistent in your character. You cannot build loyal teams if you are untrustworthy in your actions. People do not follow empty charisma for long. They follow conviction, clarity, and character. If you want better people around you, become a better version of yourself. The quality of those you attract will rise or fall based on the depth of your own growth. It's also important to recognize that attraction works even when we are unaware of it. Many are unconsciously sabotaging their potential by maintaining mental and emotional patterns that repel success. You say you want peace, but you stay in chaos. You say you want growth, but you avoid challenges. You say you want truth, but you cling to comfortable lies. This dissonance between desire and behavior creates frustration. You must bring your actions, beliefs, and values into alignment with your vision if you want to attract what belongs to your future. Attraction is a law. It is not personal. It doesn't care about your background, your excuses, or your intentions. It simply responds to who you are becoming. If you keep getting the same negative outcomes, the answer is not always to push harder outwardly. Sometimes it's a signal to pause, reflect, and change inwardly. You don't need more effort. You need more alignment. When you begin to elevate your thinking, heal your inner wounds, sharpen your discipline, and honor your own values, you will notice a shift in what comes to you. The doors that were closed begin to open, not because the world changed, but because you did. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop striving and start receiving, not because of magic, but because of alignment with truth, purpose, and integrity. Broken people break people. This is not a statement of condemnation, but of awareness. Hurt that is not healed becomes a weapon, and pain that is not processed becomes a pattern. Many of the wounds we see in others are not born from malice, but from a place of unaddressed brokenness. When individuals fail to confront and heal the fractures within themselves, they become conduits of emotional, relational, and even spiritual damage to those around them. What we do not repair, we repeat, often in ways we are not conscious of. And unfortunately, those closest to us are usually the ones who suffer the most. This is why healing is not just a personal act, it is a moral responsibility. When you carry unresolved trauma, bitterness, or insecurity, it inevitably leaks into your communication, your decisions, your relationships, and your leadership. You may not intend to hurt anyone, but brokenness distorts perception. You begin to interpret neutral actions as threats, kind words as manipulation, and constructive feedback as rejection. You live defensively, react impulsively, and trust conditionally. You begin to see the world not as it is, but as your wounds remember it. This creates a cycle of dysfunction where you begin to recreate the very environments you say you want to escape. Many people seek to fix their lives by changing circumstances, moving to new cities, starting new relationships, launching new careers. But they fail to realize that if the same broken self enters every new situation, the same broken patterns will emerge. The issue is not always the environment. Sometimes the issue is internal. Until you address the root of your brokenness, you will keep planting seeds of dysfunction wherever you go. A change in scenery does not equal a change in identity. If you are carrying unresolved pain, you will keep spilling it into every space you occupy. Children raised by emotionally broken adults often carry wounds they never asked for. Teams led by insecure leaders often experience fear instead of vision. Marriages where one or both partners are still battling unhealed emotional baggage often become battlegrounds instead of places of refuge. This is the generational ripple effect of not dealing with our pain. It doesn't stay contained within you. It spreads, and it spreads silently, subtly, and often unconsciously. This is why self-awareness is one of the first steps toward healing. You must become aware of what shaped you, what hurt you, and what habits you've developed as a defense mechanism. Breaking the cycle of brokenness requires intentionality. It is not enough to know that you've been hurt. You must be willing to go through the process of healing. That process often involves discomfort, facing the truth, revisiting painful memories, forgiving those who may never apologize, and letting go of identities that were built in survival mode. Healing is not a quick fix. It is a journey that demands courage, humility, and often outside help. But the cost of staying broken is far greater than the cost of healing. Staying broken doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone connected to you. When you begin to heal, something powerful happens. Your perspective shifts. You stop seeing people as enemies and start recognizing shared humanity. You stop reacting and start responding. You become more patient, more grounded, and more compassionate. Instead of projecting your pain, you begin to extend your peace. Instead of repeating cycles, you begin to create new legacies. Healing empowers you to become a source of restoration instead of damage. And in a world full of broken systems, broken families, and broken hearts, the greatest gift you can give is a healed version of yourself. Many people think strength is found in pretending they are fine. But real strength is found in vulnerability. The willingness to admit when you're not okay, and the determination to seek wholeness anyway. Your influence, your relationships, your purpose, they all rise to the level of your emotional health. When you are whole, you no longer need to control people, compete with others, or manipulate outcomes. You operate from a place of inner sufficiency. You create space for others to grow instead of suffocating them with your unresolved fears. You become safe, you become trustworthy, you become a builder, not a breaker. Purpose demands preparation. It is not enough to know that you have a purpose. You must become the kind of person who can handle that purpose. Many people are excited about destiny, vision, and calling, but they underestimate the level of discipline, growth, and refinement required to sustain it. Purpose is not a fantasy, it is a responsibility. It requires maturity, character, and competence. Without preparation, purpose can feel like pressure. It can crush instead of elevate, frustrate instead of fulfill. When you step into something too soon, without the internal structure to support it, the very thing meant to bless you can break you. A vision without preparation is a burden. Dreams that are not supported by development become disappointments. This is why many people quit, not because they aren't called, but because they weren't ready. Purpose will test you. It will demand strength in areas you've ignored. It will expose your insecurities, your laziness, your pride, your need for validation. It will confront your immaturity. Purpose requires a version of you that your current comfort zone cannot produce. The reason many do not step fully into their calling is because they are waiting for the opportunity without becoming the vessel capable of carrying it. Preparation is what builds capacity. It is what expands your ability to manage weight, stress, decisions, influence, and expectations. You cannot carry a crown with a weak character. You cannot lead with wisdom if you refuse to be corrected. You cannot sustain success if you have not developed the internal systems that support structure, time, emotional balance, and integrity. Every elevation in life demands a deeper level of personal order. If you are not preparing, you are not ready, no matter how gifted or passionate you are. Gifts open doors, but preparation keeps them open. It's important to understand that preparation is often hidden. While others are performing, showcasing, and being applauded, you may find yourself in a season of silence. Do not despise the season of hidden work. In the hidden place, character is shaped. In the hidden place, skills are sharpened. In the hidden place, intentions are purified. True preparation happens when no one is watching. The unseen work becomes the foundation for the visible impact. You may not see the results immediately, but everything you do in preparation is building toward a moment you have not yet seen. That moment will come, and when it does, you must be ready to carry it with grace, not just excitement. Preparation also includes pruning. There are things you must let go of in order to grow into who your purpose requires you to be. Habits, relationships, mindsets, and environments that once felt comfortable may become toxic to your development. Not because they are evil, but because they are incompatible with your next level. Purpose will not adjust to your preferences. You must adjust to its demands. That means choosing growth over comfort, discipline over convenience, structure over spontaneity. You cannot pray your way into purpose without preparing your way into it. Faith without preparation is fantasy. You must be willing to pay the price that your future requires. Preparation builds endurance. Every purpose comes with pressure. It will test your patience, your emotional stamina, and your resilience. If you have not practiced persistence in private, you will collapse under the weight of public pressure. Preparation builds the kind of faith that is not shaken by rejection, delay, or misunderstanding. It teaches you how to show up even when the applause is absent. It teaches you to be consistent even when the results are slow. Every great purpose is preceded by a season of preparation that feels like obscurity, but it is necessary for your foundation. There are no shortcuts to purpose. Every shortcut leads to a setback. The process is not punishment, it is protection. It is shaping you into someone who can be trusted with the assignment. It is preparing your heart, your habits, and your perspective to match the greatness of what you've been called to carry. You are the common denominator in your life. In every relationship you've had, in every opportunity you've encountered, in every pattern, both healthy and destructive, you have been the one constant. This truth is not meant to shame but to awaken. It is far easier to blame others for our pain, our delays, and our failures than it is to turn inward and confront the habits, mindsets, and choices that have shaped our outcomes. When the same problems show up in different environments, when the same drama follows you into new friendships, when the same struggles resurface in every job, the environment is not the issue. The issue is internal. It is personal. It is you. This realization is both sobering and empowering. It means that while you may not control everything that happens around you, you do have power over how you respond, interpret, and engage with the world. Taking responsibility for your life is the first step toward real change. As long as you keep pointing outward, blaming your parents, your ex, your boss, your culture, your circumstances, you will remain stuck in cycles that your pride refuses to break. Growth begins when you say, maybe it's not just them, maybe it's me. That admission doesn't mean others were perfect. It means you are ready to reclaim your power by owning your role in your story. Patterns repeat until you recognize them. Many people are trapped in loops, financial instability, toxic relationships, emotional burnout, and believe that life is just unfair, but patterns are never random. They are reflections of internal beliefs and repeated decisions. If you believe you're unworthy, you'll accept mistreatment. If you believe you'll never succeed, you'll sabotage every opportunity. If you believe people always leave, you'll push them away before they have a chance to stay. The subconscious scripts you carry determine how you show up in life. Until you rewrite those scripts, your reality will reflect the old narrative. You are the common denominator, and that means self-awareness is your greatest asset. Most people live reactive lives. They respond to everything but reflect on nothing. They go from one experience to the next without ever asking, what am I learning? What am I repeating? What needs to change in me? Without reflection, there can be no transformation. You must take time to examine your thoughts, your choices, your emotions, and your behaviors. Ask yourself why you respond the way you do. Ask yourself why you choose the people you do. Ask yourself why you procrastinate, why you overthink, why you settle, why you fear. The answers are not outside of you. They are buried within, waiting for your attention. Being the common denominator also means that you cannot outrun yourself. You can change your location, your job, your social circle. But if you haven't changed internally, your life will begin to look the same no matter where you go. You carry your beliefs, your wounds, your fears, and your habits with you. This is why transformation must be inward before it is outward. You have to break the cycles in your mind before you break them in your life. You have to change how you see yourself before life can reflect a new reality. Taking full ownership of your role in your life can be uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. It means that you no longer have to wait for others to change for you to grow. You no longer have to beg for external validation or wait for the perfect opportunity. You become the solution, you become the change, you become the catalyst. Your healing, your progress, your future. It's not in anyone else's hands, it's in yours. When you recognize that you are the common denominator, you stop running from responsibility and start stepping into power. You stop blaming the past and start building a future. You stop repeating and start renewing. You cannot lead others where you have not gone yourself. Leadership in its truest form is not about position or popularity. It is about presence, authenticity, and example. People follow what they see, not just what they hear. Words may inspire temporarily, but example transforms permanently. If your life does not reflect the truth you teach, your voice loses weight. The greatest leaders are not those who demand loyalty, but those who embody the discipline, clarity, and consistency that make others want to follow. True influence is not given. It is earned through the credibility of lived experience. Leadership begins with self-mastery. Before you can instruct others, you must instruct yourself. Before you can expect excellence from others, you must pursue it within. You cannot ask others to be accountable while you make excuses. You cannot promote discipline while living in disorder. Leadership demands integrity between your message and your method, between your platform and your personal life. People may admire talent, but they trust character. And trust is the currency of leadership. Without it, your title becomes noise, your strategies fall flat, and your influence fades. The strength of your leadership is rooted in the strength of your example. Every time you avoid doing the internal work, you weaken your leadership. The people closest to you see what others do not. The inconsistencies, the contradictions, the unresolved wounds, the hidden fears. What you hide will eventually leak. What you avoid will eventually undermine your authority. It is not enough to look like a leader, you must live like one. The pressure of leadership will expose what preparation did not fix. If you have not led yourself well in private, you will crumble under the weight of public responsibility. Leadership exposes gaps. The wise fill them before others feel them. Leading yourself first means setting standards before setting goals. Standards are about who you are. Goals are about what you do. Many chase achievements without cultivating the internal foundation that sustains them. This is why success without self-leadership turns into burnout, moral failure, or emotional collapse. You cannot lead from an empty or unstable place. You must anchor your life in values that guide you, especially when no one is watching. You must become the kind of person who chooses what is right over what is easy, what is wise over what is quick, and what is eternal over what is popular. Leadership also requires emotional maturity. You cannot manage people effectively if you cannot manage your emotions. Reactivity, defensiveness, insecurity, and pride will sabotage your ability to connect, communicate, and correct with clarity. Emotional mastery doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means understanding them, processing them, and responding in ways that build trust instead of fear. Your leadership tone is set not by your vision statements, but by your emotional example. If your presence creates anxiety instead of alignment, your leadership is not being stewarded with care. Those you lead are not just listening to your instructions. They are watching your habits, your responses, your relationships, and your routines. They are learning not only what you say but how you live. The unspoken lessons are the most powerful. If you are inconsistent, they will mimic inconsistency. If you compromise, they will justify compromise. If you carry bitterness, they will inherit division. But if you lead with humility, they will learn honor. If you lead with excellence, they will be drawn toward discipline. If you lead with integrity, they will choose trust over fear. Leadership is legacy. It is not about control but about cultivation. You are shaping not just outcomes but people, not just systems but souls. That is why your inner life must be richer than your public life. That is why your roots must be deeper than your reach, because what you build with your words can only be sustained by the weight of your example. When you lead yourself well, you give others permission to rise. When you live with discipline, you create an atmosphere of excellence. When you grow in private, you inspire transformation in public. Fixing yourself first is not selfish, it is foundational. It is the deepest act of service you can offer to your relationships, your purpose, and your generation. When you heal, you stop the cycle of brokenness. When you align your values with your actions, you attract peace, clarity, and favor. When you prepare with discipline and humility, you step into purpose with strength. And when you lead yourself with integrity, you create a path others can walk with confidence. Everything you desire to change around you begins by transforming what is within you. You do not need to chase approval, force outcomes, or blame others for where you are. You need only to take full responsibility for becoming the kind of person who embodies the truth you seek. Fixing yourself first is not about being perfect. It is about being honest, consistent, and committed to growth. Because the world does not just need more talented people, it needs more whole people. And when you become whole, you don't just change your life, you empower others to do the same.